Namaskar, Swagatam. Today is Budhavasaraha, Ekadasha Tamaha Dinankaha. So actually say, so Ekadasha I should say, not Ekadasha Tamaha, Ekadasha Dinankaha. Yastu Mangalacharanam, Ramo Rajamunis Sada Vijayate, Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate, Ramam Ramesham Bhaje, Ramena Vyata Nishachar Chamu, Ramaya Tasmai Namaha, Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Daso Smyaham, Rame Chittale Sada Bhautame Bhorama Mamudhara, Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame, Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane, Shri Rama Nama Varanana Unnama Iti. Okay, last time you were looking at this, but they're talking about Ekadasha, Ekadashan Pradipadikam, but you know, all these, this Tadita component in Gita say, Athe Ekadashodhyayaha. So Ekadasha also becomes a adjective, means 11th. So Ekadasha Dinankaha. So these are actually Taditas. I mean, this is a little bit of side trekking for today. But it comes in Purane Dat, Sankhyayaha Purane Dat. So this Pratyaya Dat is added, Sankhyayaha Purane Dat. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Sankhyayaha Purane Dat. Okay, Purane Dat. Purane. Okay, Tasya Purane Dat, I'm sorry. Sankhyayaha Gunasya Tasya Purane Dat. This Pratyaya Dat is there for Purane. And then there are some other rules. So yeah, Ekadasha becomes an adjective now. So it becomes now Ekadasha Dinankaha, Ekadasha. So Ekadashan Pradipatim is a number. Ekadasha means 11. But Ekadasha, so Ekadasha is an adjective. Akaranta Pradipatikam becomes an adjective, Ekadasha. It becomes Ekadashi in the feminine, Ekadashi Tithi. But Ekadashan Pradipadikam means the number 11, not 11th. Ekadasha means 11th or Ekadashi in the feminine. So it's Dinankaha, so this is Ekadasha. Okay, so last time we were talking about this, we were towards the end of this lesson. Let me put it over here for you. Let's see if I can bring it on your screen. Okay, we are on page 121. Page 121, we are on the top part, finishing the lesson. Before I go there, I think last class, I think I may have left one thing halfway. This example, which I don't know if I look at the document one more time, and you know, after the class, I also edit the document just to make sure I didn't leave anything out. So there, this document which was talking about this sutram here, which is example, I should say. So ahan diva, and this one is the ahani cha diva cha ahar divam. So ahani means during the day, and diva also means by the day, ahar divam. This is what the sutram 5477, which you've been seeing in detail. I think last entire class we saw that 5477, and this is the Samasanta Prakaranam. I think we have a couple of new people in the class today, so I want to mention one more time that when you talk about samasas, these two sections should be in front of your eyes, which is called the Samasanta Prakaranam, which tells you these are Tadita Pratyayas, which talk about at the end of a compound when something takes place, like Padma Nabha, the word Nabhi became Nabha. So all these kind of things which takes place at end of compounds. So they are, like in my favorite example in the Gita itself, in the very first chapter of Gita, the very first few lines of Gita, you have this word Kashi Rajascha Viryavan. So Kashi Rajascha Viryavan. I'm just giving a small synopsis because there are some new people in the class today, a couple of new people. So this Kashi Rajascha Viryavan. So when you chant the Gita, and when you see the word Kashi Rajaha coming over there, then you should immediately say what happened. Should have been Kashi Raja. Asmakant Vishishtaya Bhavan Bhishmascha Garnascha Kashi Rajascha Viryavan. So Bhadra Draupadi. So this Kashi Rajaha over here, the Padikadikam is Kashi Rajan to begin with, the king of Kashi, Kashi Rajascha. But this has now become a Akaranta Pradipadikam. So something happened at the end of the compound. Because it should have been Kashi Raja, became Kashi Raja, it became masculine. So this is something happening at the end of the compound. Pratyaya has been added. Of course, we saw that sutram in the class already. Raja Sakib Jashtach. We saw that sutram. So this is one section which always should be Samasa Vidhanam. Is done only in 2-1 and 2-2. 2-1 and 2-2. There are only two parts of Ashtadhyayi where Panini authorizes compounds. To form a compound, you have to have a sutram in 2-1 or 2-2 of the Ashtadhyayi which will justify or authorize the compound. So always keep this section marked out, the Ashtadhyayi. Ashtadhyayi 2.1, Ashtadhyayi 2.2 is reserved for this topic of authorizing, justifying compounds. So, now, but connecting with that, so that only says you can form this compound in this way. Then come these two sections, which is the 5-4-68 Samasantaha. So these are pratyayas which are added to a compound at the end of the compound, and these are tadita pratyayas, which of course because they come in the adhikara of taditaha, which starts from 4-176 and goes to the end of chapter 5. So they are pratyayas, they're tadita pratyayas, but they are kind of strange because they come after a pradipadikam and they become part of the pradipadikam. Because samasantaha, so they become the end of the samasa. So these pratyayas come after the samasa and they become part of the samasa also. So this is a strange concept, samasantaha. So they become part of the samasa. Anyway, so that's one section, and in that we've been discussing this 5-4-68 go unto the end of 5-4. See, at some point to get this naipunyam in vyakaranam, you have to be able to understand the Ashtadhyayi structure. Very, very important. So the more territories that you know, that you understand, at least you know what is in this section. That will increase your knowledge tremendously and your confidence. And your confidence that you can now apply sutras. So 5-4-68 to end of 5-4 is the end of chapter 5, end of Pratyaha Parascha, end of Tadhitaha. So a lot of things end at the end of chapter 5. So Samasanta at the end of chapter 5, Tadhitaha, Nya Pratipadikat, and Pratyaha Parascha all end at the end of chapter 5. So the other section which we have been seeing, which we'll see today also, we'll see both of these today, which is of course 6.3, the entire 6.3. Panini runs adhikara ko Uttarapade, Uttarapade, Aluguttarapade. So this is now telling you some operation on the Purva Padam of a compound. Purva Padam of a compound. So that means what is taking place on the Purva Padam. So this is not at the end of the compound, but the Purva Padam. This Aluguttarapade. Today we are going to see a couple of these rules. Devata, Dvandve. We're going to see these rules today. We saw one last time. Today we're going to see these three rules. So we're going to be seeing rules from both of these sections today. Okay, just a brief reminder for us. That 5-4 Samasantaha from 5-4-68 to end of 5-4, and then 6-3 Aluguttarapade. Uttarapade means the Purapada Sambandhi Karyam. Always keep these two sections in mind. So even though we say that Samasas only come in 2-1, 2-2, these extra operations are coming in 6-3 and towards the end of 5-4. Of course, in this particular lesson, we also saw one more section in detail, which is in when can we make, when is a samahara required. In the Dvandva Samasa, when to make a, that's 2-4-2 to 2-4-16. Okay, let's continue with the last time. I think I may have left one example incomplete last time, and that one is this, Ahanicha Devacha. But before we go on, I know I was just talking to Kalpesh and whether we have the Siddhanta Kaumudi. Because Siddhanta Kaumudi is our basic text. Anybody's, not only ours, anybody's basic text is Siddhanta Kaumudi. So I was wondering, because unfortunately Siddhanta Kaumudi, we don't have the entire Kaumudi typed out online. But as we are making some effort now, this Yulia is going to type the Siddhanta Kaumudi for us online. Whatever we are missing parts going to be typed online. It's an amazing thing, that the Kashika was typed by somebody in Japan. And now the Siddhanta Kaumudi is being typed by somebody in Ukraine. This is the amazing thing, is that these anyway. So they are helping us by so Yulia has taken a project to type the Siddhanta Kaumudi. But before that, we already have this Prakaranam. By the way, this thing I think is typed in India. I think in Tirupati or some place where it was on the web, but Kalpesh found and Ravi found it. So we are going to, I think, Kalpesh, send the document to all of you. Again, Siddhanta Kaumudi is basically reordering the Ashtadhyay. This is a Prakarana Grantha. Prakarana Grantha means topic by topic. It reorders Ashtadhyay. Even though this is our main text, the only thing about Siddhanta Kaumudi is that it is not a fault of the text itself. You have to keep the Ashtadhyay sequence in mind. Always keep the Ashtadhyay sequence in mind. Do not lose track of the Ashtadhyay just because you're following the Kaumudi. But we have the Kaumudi now. We'll be following this today. From now on, we have the entire Samasa Prakaranam here. The entire Samasa Prakaranam Siddhanta Kaumudi is available here, and also it's been sent to you. If you don't have it, just email and we'll forward it to you. So last time we were looking at this long sutram, which is 945. So it is here. It is right here, which is Achatura, Vichatura, Suchatura, Stri Pumsa, Dhenmanaduha, Arka, Sama, Vang Manasa, Ruksama, Ruksama, Vang Manasa, Akshibhruva, Dar Gava, Urvashtiva, Padashtiva, Naktandiva, Ratrindiva, Ahardiva, Sarajasa, Anishrayasa, Purushayusha, Dvyayusha. There are some typo here. Triyayusha, not typo, there is some, we have to edit this a little bit, okay? But it's quite good. There are some little things we have to tweak in this document, but it's still quite good. Triyayusha, Rigyajusha, Jatoksha, Mahoksha, Vruddhoksha, Upashvana, Goshchashvaha. So out of that, we are focusing on these 11, which we saw, which is the Stri Pumsa, Dhenvanaduha, Ruksama, Vangmanasa, Akshibhrava, Daragava, Urvashtiva, Padashtiva, Naktandiva, Ratrindiva, Ahardiva. These 12. So, in fact, here it says that Adhyastrayaha Bahuvrihayaha. So, there are the first three Bahuvri compounds. And then he says, Tataha Ekadashaha Dvandvaha. So, Ekadashaha Dvandvaha. Again, there are some typos here, but there are 11 Dvandva compounds. So that's what we're focusing on, and they go in detail. So last time we were talking about this example of the Ahardiva. So what does Bhattoji say? By the way, just like I tell memorize Gita, Siddhanta Kaumudi, if you want to really learn Vyakaranam, be an expert in it, Siddhanta Kaumudi is meant to be memorized. Siddhanta Kaumudi, just like Ashtadhyaya, is meant to be memorized. Now, difference between Kashika Siddhanta Kaumudi is that Bhattoji has specially made Kaumudi so that only the main important points are in this. He does not, even though he has a temptation to divert and give more details, he does not do that. So this text is meant to be memorized. So keep on reading Kaumudi as much as you can. If you want Naipunam in Vyakaranam, the Kaumudi should be in your right hand at all times, Siddhanta Kaumudi. And I also said to you that any Vyakaranam text which you have is basically some version of Siddhanta Kaumudi. No matter which book you have in your hand, it is some adaptation or some maybe even expansion, but it is basically Kaumudi in some form, including Antoine. Antoine is basically some parts of Siddhanta Kaumudi. So please read this thing. This is Pramana Grantha for us. Anything in Kaumudi is taken to be 100% correct. 100% correct is also one thing of Siddhanta Kaumudi. These have been edited thoroughly over the last 300-400 years, and there is really no typo as such. Of course, there is a typo in this document, but not in the Kaumudi itself. So here he says, Ahani cha divacha ahardivam. Ahani cha divacha ahardivam. So he says that's what Ahani cha divacha ahardivam. And says Vipsayam Dvandvo Nipatyate. So that because this is Ahani also means during the day, Diva also means during the day, then how can you have a Dvandva compound like that? They mean the same thing. Of course, not only that, his Saptamyartha is there, that it is mean during the day. So when you make a Dvandva compound, you should generally have something which is in the Prathama, right? So Ramash Lakshmanascha Rama Lakshmanau, and Pani Tapad Chapana Pani Chapado Cha Pani Padam and so on. So not there mean that it is A and B, not in A and in B. That doesn't make a Dvandva compound. So but here, so that's why Nipatanam is done by Panini. Ahar Divam is put in this Sutram 5477, so we can form the compound. And not only that, Vipsayam Dvandvo, we all did all this last time. Repeating one more time, Vipsayam Dvandvo Nipatyate. Vipsayam means Ahani Ahani Ityartaha. Ahanya Hani Ityartaha. Means it is day after day, day after day, day after day. So Ahani Cha Divacha means Ahar Divam means day after day, day after day, continuously, day after day, day after day. So all this we did last time. Only thing, when I looked at the document today, I noticed that I may have left it incomplete last time. So we have Han Ni Diva Ni 5477. So by this sutram we can form this compound. We couldn't really form a Dvandva compound using our usual Charthe Dvandva, because Charthe Dvandva should be A and B, not in A and in B. That will not form that. So we use 5477 Nipatanam. And these are all, what is the vritti of 5477, that the Ach Pratyaya is being used. Ach Pratyaya is being used over here. So we get the, so this, of course, here this ready-made form given to us. Ready-made form is given to us. So this is Ete Panchavimshati, which is Ajantaha Nipatyate. Nipatyate. So Hanicha Divacha Ahar Diva. So Ahar Diva is given as a ready-made form to us. Ahar Diva. Ahar Diva is a ready-made form. So now coming back to your document, the only thing is that once Ahar Diva is formed, well, let me just give me 1 second. Ahar Diva, Hanicha Divacha Ahar Diva. We remove, of course, the Ni because this entire compound gets a Prajapadika Sanya by Krutadita Samasascha. Then Supo Dhatu Padibhidikayoho Ahan Diva. And then after that, what we do is that we don't really need this step over here. Give me 1 second. Because we already have the form Ahar Diva given to us. And then after that, it becomes, we take Ahan Diva plus Su. And then we of course by Su or just followed by the Atoam. The same thing we talked in detail last time about where does the Ambhava come from. So we get Atoam because of Sanapumsakam. So this is in the same thing, same steps we had with the Naptan Diva. Naptan Diva, same thing we do the Ambhavaha. Only thing is that in the document I didn't put this last time. I'm just completing it here. So put this one here with the Ambhavaha, then Amipurvaha, and get of course the Ahar Divam by Ros Supi. Ros Supi becomes Ahar Divam. So last time in the class I only put this one, I think. I did not complete this part. So becomes Ahan. So Ahar Diva is the Nipata given in the Sutram. So first Ahan Diva, and then we have to bring in the Su, then get the Ambhava by Atoam because Sanapumsakam. This is Samahar Dvandva, it comes of Sanapumsakam. So Napumsakam means Atoam. Atoam, just like we form Vanam, Vane, Vanani, same thing here. We get Atoam, and then Amipurvaha, and then of course the 8 to 69 Sandhi is already been done in Sutram anyway, but the Sutram is Ros Supi. So these two rules in Ashtadhyayi, which are talking about the Prajapadikam Ahan, which is special Prajapadikam, again, which I hope you have been following in the daily examples. Is Ahan means that if it's a Padantam, the Ahan takes the Ru Adeshaha. And if it is not followed by Sup, means Supluk has taken place, then Ahan takes the Rep Adeshaha. In a compound, what happens is that because of the Supo Dhatu Prajapadika Yoho, the Supluk has taken place. So here the Nakara becomes a Rep Adeshaha. Rep Adeshaha becomes Ahar Divam, Rep Adeshaha, Ros Supi. Okay. Now, that was, I just want to complete that. I think I mentioned in the class that the same steps, once you get this Akaranta Pradipadikam, Samasaha, then we have to follow the same steps as in Naptan Diva. Of course, we talked about the Bala Manorama Tika last time. It gives a different opinion, so that we have to think about that one, whether it is correct or not. Okay, now coming back to where we left off. We left off at this part about the, I think we are talking about, by the way, in Gita, I mentioned end of last class, this Sutram 5477 comes in chapter 5 of Gita, the example of Nishreyasa Karavubhav. I always have to give Gita examples. Gita examples are always very good. So in Bhagavad Gita, I gave you just 2 examples today. One is that we talked about the Kashi Rajascha Viryavan. The moment you think about this, you have to think of this Samasantaha Prakaranam. Samasantaha Prakaranam 5468. Samasantaha. And here comes Rajastakibhyashtach. Rajastakibhyashtach. This is the Sutram for Gita. Kashi Rajascha Viryavan. And then Nishrayasa Karabhubhav comes in chapter 5. Chapter 5, number 2. Chapter 5, number 2. Chapter 5, number 2. And this Nishrayasa. Nishrayasa. So when you chant Gita chapter 5 next time, you chant this one. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasah Karma Yogascha Nishrayasa Karabhubhav. Nishrayasa. Because Shreyas Pratipadikam, how did it become Nishrayasa? As you chant Gita, these things should pop up in your mind. How it became Nishrayasa? One thing about Vyakaranam is that if you don't know the answer, keep it as a pending question in your mind. Keep it as a pending question. Don't say, well, it doesn't matter, who cares? That's how you won't learn. But if you say, okay, I don't know the answer to this question, why Shreyas becomes Shreyasa? There might be some rule, I'll look it up, I'll ask somebody. So these pending questions, you continue to think about them. And you learn more and more, try to explore as to why this Nishreyas becomes Shreyasa. Because you know the Prajapati comes in Gita, Shreyan Sadharmo Vigunaha comes in chapter 3, in chapter 18 also. So you know the word Shreyan is used in Gita. It must be Shreyas Prajapati. How it became Nishreyasa? So it is the Akara coming at the end. And sure enough, in 5477, we have the word Nishreyasa. In this long Sutram 5477, here it is. Nishreyasa. So Nishreyasa comes in 5477. This compound is, given in 5477 as ending in that. Of course, it's not a Dvandva compound, so we won't go in detail. But if you want to remember, recall it's long. This is the longest Suttam in the Ashtadhyayi. This is the longest Suttam in the Ashtadhyayi, longest. So this Achatura Vichatura. And one form, this comes in Gita, Nishreyasa Karabhubhav. Okay. So last time we went into the class, we were looking at a couple of things. Which was in the last part of the book. We're looking at the these couple of pages in the book, which is when two members end in a rukaraha, denote a blood relation or relation based on learning. So we're looking at this one last time. The first changes the rukara to a akaraha. So one more time, in two members of a compound, when both members should be ending in a rukara, be very careful, not one. So the condition is that both the members of a compound should end in a rukara and denote a blood relationship based on learning. Then the first change is final rukara to akara. Sutram which we saw last time, there are these three rules in the Ashtadhyayi order. You can look at them here. Again, because this is changes happening to the Purva Padam, we are going to go to 6.3. Sutram is Anangruto Dvandve, and then Devata Dvandve cha, and then also the Idagnehe Somavarnayoho, this is one more Sutram which we see today, and then Divasascha Prithivyam. Before I forget, I think there's a typo in the book, please correct. We will try later. Is this one should be Prithivi, not Prithvi. I think this one here should be Prithivi. This one here, this should be Prithivi, not Prithvi, Prithivi. Because Sutram says Prithivyam. This Sutram which you just saw, this Divasascha Prithivyam. So Prithivi is the Pradipadikam. Prithivi. Prithvi is a separate Pradipadikam, but that's not mentioned in this Sutram. So Prithivyam only is mentioned. So please correct the book, in the typo in the book, that Prithvi should be Prithivi. Okay, what is coming here? Okay, so now let's go to Kaumudi, get the explanation from that. What does the Kaumudi say? Let's try to follow that. So the Kaumudi says here that, it comes back here. Okay. So it says the Devata Dvandve cha, and then Anangruto Dvandve. Just as I tell you to memorize these sutras, if you can also keep on repeating the vritti from this document, keep on repeating. Because he said to be an expert, you have to memorize the vritti also. The vritti, of course, sutra is top priority. Vritti also is very important. When I was learning Vyakaranam, the teachers used to know the vritti at the top of their head. Very hard to make a mistake. Very hard to make a mistake. You know, it depends how much time you have, but keep on reading. Keep on reading the vritti very carefully. Just like Bhagavad Gita, you read this Siddhanta Kaumadi, keep on reading. Every single word of the Kaumadi is important. Every single word, because Bhattoji will not waste any single word of Kaumadi. Every single word is discussed among the scholars and put here for some reason, okay, for some reasons. In fact, this Kaumadi has a tika by Bhattoji himself. It's called the Pravada Manorama. The Pravada Manorama, in which Bhattoji also discusses why he puts every single word in the Kaumadi. It's not as detailed as we might like, but at least in short, he has put that. So please read the vritti immediately from the Kaumadi. Now, why Kaumadi? Why not Kashika? Kashika also is good. Remember, the Kashika is old. The Kashika is, you know, more, at least 1,000 years old, more than that. So the Kaumadi has taken that and, of course, put it to the next level, so to speak. Of course, Kaumadi is in different order, mind you. The Kaumadi is in different order. And sometimes Bhattoji will be brief in the Kaumadi. The Kashika will give you vritti in detail for every sutram. Because the Kaumadi is meant to be memorized, it will not repeat anything at all. So it can be pretty brief. If you're not following the entire Kaumadi in the Kaumadi order, you might find a vritti very short. In that case, go to Kashika, get more details. But let's look at this one, Anangrito Dvandve. Anangrito Dvandve. Vidyayoni Sambandha Vachinam Prudantanam Dvandve Anang Syad Uttara Pade Pare. One more time. Vidyayoni Sambandha Vachinam. So they have to be Vidyayoni Sambandha. Vidya means in this case now Vedic learning, like, you know, the Veda Patha, Krama Patha, and then you do the, you know, the Mula Patha, Pada Patha, Krama Patha, all that, and different kinds of learning for the priests who officiate the sacrifices. So these are, you know, people who are learning in the Vedic system. So when they are two of these and they have Pradipadikam ending in Rukara, Rukaraha, Sutra applied. Of course, Yoni means relation with blood relationship, like mother, father, etc. So Vidya Yoni Sambandha Vachinam, Krudantanam Dvandve, Anang Syad Pade Pare. Even if you don't understand the vritti, doesn't matter. Try to understand whatever you can understand, try to follow that. You will not understand this whole thing right away. You may not. It's okay. It's okay. Take whatever you can understand. But still understand this is what is required for this sutram. So this sutram, Anangrito Dvandve, if you want to express in a sentence form, this is what you have. So now when you have a sentence like that, now it makes the sutram clear for you. It makes it clear exactly what is the meaning of the sutram. Vidyayoni Sambandha Vachinam Vridantanam Dvandve Anang Syad Uttara Pade Pare. Hota Potarau. So Hotru and Potru. These are again two officiating priests. We can look at Apte, Hotru and Potru. So these are, let's see, Potru. Hotru and Potru. Hota Potarau. So Hotru Cha. So Hota Cha Pota Cha. Hota Potarau. So we did an example. If you look at the word Potru in Apte, Potru. Potru will come, this one. Potru is one of the 16 officiating priests in a sacrifice. So that is the meaning here. So Hota Potarau. And then he gives one more thing that he gives, by the way. So we did this in the document last time. I think in the lesson he has given an example of the, let's see in the lesson what he gives. He gives the example of the Vakta Shrotaro. So Vakta and Shrota, this is a teacher and student. Then you have Vakta Cha Shrota Cha, Vakta Cha Shrota Cha, and then we come Vaktru plus Shrotru. And I think we have in the document last time. We did this in the document last time. So here, Vakta Shrotaro. So Vaktru plus Su, Shrotru plus Su. Again, you have to start with the sutram Charthe Dvandvaha. Charthe Dvandvaha. There's only one sutram. There is only one single sutram in the 2122 which authorizes Dvandva compound. So if you have a Dvandva Samasaha, there's only one sutram, Charthe Dvandvaha. Charthe Dvandvaha is only one single sutram which authorizes a Dvandva compound, Charthe Dvandvaha, Charthe Dvandvaha. Unless, of course, Panini has a Nipatanam somewhere else, like in 5477. But in 21 and 22 is only one sutram. Charthe Dvandvaha, Charthe Dvandvaha, Charthe Dvandvaha. So we have Vaktru plus Su plus Shotru plus Su. Again, this is called the Alaukika Vigraha Vakyam, the technical breakdown of the compound. So this is the Laukika Vigraha Vakyam is Vakta cha Shrota cha. Alaukika Vigraha Vakyam, Vaktru Su, Shotru Su. And then we get, of course, the usual two steps. Kritadita Samasa cha Supo Dhadu Pradipatika Yoho. Supluk takes place because this gets the Pradipatika Sanya. Kritadita Samasa cha. And then by Supo Dhatu Pradipatika Yoho, this sup takes look. Then we get the Ananga Adesha because we have both of the ending in Rukaraha and Rukaraha, Vaktru and Shotru. We have to make sure that one thing is very good exercise for all of us is that we have to make sure that every condition of the sutram is satisfied. So sutra se prapti asti vanava. Prapti means that is it applicable here or not? So vidya yoni sambandha vachinam. It can be many of them. We have only two. Vidya yoni. So it is the vidya sambandha. Vidya sambandha vachinoho in our case. Hridantayoho. You got hridantas. We have Vaktru and Shotru. Dvandve Ananga Syad Uttarapade Pare Uttarapade Dhrute. So here we have the Vaktru and Shotru. So everything is satisfied. Always check this. Check the vritti. Make sure everything is satisfied. We have a compound. We have Uttarapadam. We have the Vidya Sambandha, Rukaranta Padipadikam, each one of them. So we're going to do the Anangadesha. Anang only comes to Vaktru because Uttarapade Pare. So only when Uttarapada follows, which means of course Purapadam takes the Karyam. Very straightforward. Uttarapada follows. Uttarapade means Purapada Sambandhi Karyam. So Anangadesha again we talked about last time is we have Alontyasya and then Anekashis. Any time you do an Adesha, immediately you should immediately think of these four rules, which is Alontyasya, then Nitya, Ade Parasya, Anekashis Sarvasya. Always keep these four rules in your mind. When you see, this is the advantage of Ashtadhyayi now. See, Ashtadhyayi order is useful in certain circumstances, sometimes Kaumudi. In Kaumudi, Bhattoji will take these four different places. Because when he has to make, he will not take them in one place. In the Siddhanta Kaumudi, you will not find these four rules in one place. Because whenever it's the first time that Bhattoji requires, he will take one of these. But in Ashtadhyayi, you have all four in one place. Nice. So the moment you do an Adesha, think of these set of four rules. The Sutra Chatushtayam. Sutra Chatushtayam. So, Alontyasya, Nitya, Adeparasya, Anekashis Sarvasya. Anangadesha, you start from Alontyasya. Alontyasya is default rule. Means any Adesha will only replace the ending ending letter of the term being operated on, of the sthani. The sthani is the patient. The sthani is the patient in the operation room. So he's the one being operated on. Is what's called the sthani, the one who is a placeholder. So he is the place of the operation. So only the ending letter al of the sthani will take an adesha. But that would work for us right now. But in Anekashis Sarvasya, Anangadesha, Anubandha Lopa is an. It has akara and nakara. So it's Anekal Adesha. So it will replace the entire sthani would be gone. The entire Vaktru would be gone. But Nitya, that's why why Panini puts the Nit in Anang. In order to force Alontyasya, even though Anang is a Anekala Adesha. So these should be now second nature for you. Alontyasya, Nitya, Ade Parasya, Anekashis Sarvasya. And start from Alontyasya as default and then see if others come in the way. So right now Alontyasya is coming for Anang, but then comes Anekashis Sarvasya, and then so Alontyasya is overruled by Anekashis Sarvasya, which itself is overruled by Nitya. So finally we only do the Antyasya alasthane adesha, alasthane. Only the ending also Vakt plus Anang. Of course, Anubandha Lopaha by Halantyam, Upadesha Jananasika it, Anadesha by Nitya Sutram, and then, so this is 6325 which you have used, so, which is 6325 that we have used, which we just showed you, which is Anangrito Dvanve, Anangrito Dvanve, Anangrito Dvanve, Anangrito Dvanve. and then we get Vakta, Shrotru. Now, one more thing is that we mentioned that why does Panini put the Anangadesha? Why not just put the Akaradesha? Anang Nakarasya Prayojanam Kim. Even if we had just the Akaraha, could we not get the same form? No. Because if we just made the Akaradesha, then we would have had Uran Raparaha would have come. Uran Raparaha. So Nakara Ucharanam Raparatva Nivrityartham. Raparatva Nivrityartham. So in order to avoid Uran Raparaha, we get the Anangadesha. So we did this last time. So Vakta Shrotarau. So Vakta Shrotru is the Pratipadikam. Decline that by adding the Au Pratyaha. Make it Vakta Shrotarau, of course, by the Rutoni Sarvanama Sthanayoho. This is the Subanta Prakriya now, which is you get the Guna Adesha, become Vakta Shrotar, and then of course Ap Trishtra Nityadina Upadha Dirgha. So make it Vakta Shrotarau. So this was the exception here. The Vaktru becoming Vakta. That's the exception. So again, 6.3 will give you the answer because there's something happening to the Purva Padam. So this must be a topic of 6.3. So Anang Rutva Dvandve. That is the Sutram. So this was we were doing last time. The next example which is given, and we can look at the Kaumudi. By the way, the Kaumudi examples also are extremely carefully chosen. So he gives. Let's look at the next example, by the way, which is not in our Antoine book. Let's look at this one. Hotru Neshtodgataraha. He took all four together now. See how beautifully Bhattoji chooses the examples. How do he choose the examples? He does not waste a single example. Nothing is redundant, nothing is repeated. Now, why does he give this example first, and then he gives this example? What is the point of this example? Always ask in the Kaumudi, what is the point of this example? Same thing in Kashika also, but here also. Why does he give Hotru, Potru, Neshto, Dgataraha? Because he's taken all four together. All four together. The question comes is that why shouldn't each one of them take the Anangadesha? So we have Hotacha, Neshtacha, Udgatacha. This is what, so we have Hotru, Neshtru, Udgatru. Four of these priests are here now. Now, which one should take the Anangadesha? Remember, the section is of Uttarapade. Uttarapade pare. Uttarapadam is the last padam of the Sanskrit, Uttarapadam. So, Uttarapadam is Udgatru. So, the Anangadesha only will come when Uttarapade. So, Uttarapadam is Udgatru, the final, last Uttarapadam. So, only Neshtru has got the Uttarapadam following immediately, which is the Udgata. So, only Neshtru will take the Anangadesha and will become Neshta. Then, of course, the Adgunaha Neshta. So, I hope I made the point. So, let's take into this. We did not see it last time. So, this is the Kaumudi example, which is Bhattoji makes the point that if you have, let me also remind you one more time, in the Charte Dvandvaha Sutram, we can take even more than two together at one single time and make the, in fact, let's go back to Kaumudi. Let's see when Bhattoji comments on the Charte Dvandvaha is what he has given. See, Charte Dvandvaha, this is where this Prakaranam starts. Okay, this is since we didn't have this document last few classes. I mean, I should have shown this to you before. But from here starts Dvandva Samasa Prakaranam. And the first sutram is Charte Dvandvaha. It is Anekam Subantam. Anekam Subantam Charte Vartamanam Va Samasyate Sa Dvandvaha. One more time. Anekam Subantam. So make it practice from today. From today, make it a practice. When you repeat a sutram, which is of course top priority, next thing priority is in the Kaumudi, repeat the vritti. Anekam Subantam Charte Vartamanam Va Samasyate Sa Dvandvaha. I told you when my teacher was learning, his teacher would not talk to him until and unless he had memorized that section of the Kaumudi. His teacher would not talk to him unless and until he had memorized the section of the Kaumudi. He used to send him home. I'm not joking. He used to send him home. Said, go back and memorize the Kaumudi and come back to me tomorrow whenever, then we will talk. So if you have not memorized Kaumudi, don't open your mouth. Sit and memorize Kaumudi first and then talk to me. He used to send him home many times. He had to go home all the way back. Again, if you missed a word, come back again afterwards when you memorize the Kaumudi. So at least we are not being so strict in this class, but at least keep on repeating this. So anekam subantam, charte vartamanam, vasamas. Anekam subantam. So not only two, anekam subantam. Again, in vritti, every single word of the vritti is very, very well debated. This vritti is you have no idea how much effort has gone into these vrittis. The scholars sit all day long and debate every single word of the vritti. Is debated over and over again. And the only vritti is made. So anekam subantam, charte vartamanam, vasamasyate, sadvandvaha.
So
If you don't want to learn Vyakaranam, this is a great seva for Bhattoji. Yes. Yes.
After this Anang Adesha, you are talking about Aptantrich Sutra called Upadadita.
Yes.
My confusion there is why not Sarvanamasthane cha sambuddha for Upadadita?
That's only what's the vritti of Sarvanamasthane cha sambuddha. What sutra number is that? 648 is it? Sarvanamasthane cha sambuddha.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Let's look at that for a second. So what sutram is that? That is the
Nantasya Upadayaha Dirgha.
Nantasya. You don't have Nantasya, you don't have here. Nantasya.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's Nant. Always check the vritti. Good example. You can always check. Nothing. Good question. Always check the vritti. So this Vasu was asking, why are we using the Aptrishtan when we did the Vakta Shrotaro? Why not Savanamasthane Chasambuddha? Because it says no padhaya, Nantasya Upadari Bhavati. So we cannot use that because we have the Rukaranta, Rephanta. After doing Gunash, we have Rephanta. So, okay. Alright. So coming back to the Charte Dvandvaha, we can see that we can take more than two at one time to make the Samasaha. In fact, there itself he says, he gave the example right here. Okay. He says that he gives, look at the examples again. Look at the example. Dhava Khadirau. He gives in the Itaretara Yoga. So this is the Dhava tree and the Khadira. So Dhavascha Khadirascha Dhava Khadirau. Then Sanya Paribhasham. He gives the Samahara Dvandvaha. And then he says Aneka Uktehe. Because of the fact Anekam is coming with the Hotru Neshtod Gataraha. So here he says that this compound can be formed in one shot. The Hota cha, Neshta cha, Udgata cha, Hotru Neshtod Gataraha. Now he says, he makes a point now. Dvayor dvandvam kritva punardvandve tu hota pota neshtod gataraha. What he's saying here now, that if you can also allow to make a dvandva two at a time. You could do this dvandva. Let's follow this what Bhattoji is saying. Anek uktehe, because anekam can be compounded. So you can take many and compound them in one shot, in one operation. Not two at a time. Aneka uktehe hotru neshtod gataraha. So he is pointing to the sutram, which is the anangruto dvandve. Only the neshtru takes the anangadesha. The hotru does not. Because hotru doesn't have uttarapadam. Uttarapadam is only the udgatru over here. So when you make hota cha, neshta cha, udgata cha, then it will become hotru neshtod gataraha. Anangadesha only for neshtru, not for hotru. But he goes on to say, dvayor dvandam kritva. If you take two at a time, punar dvandve, and then compound those together again dvandva, you will get hota pota neshtod gataraha. So when you first make hota and hotru, you can make these two together. Then compound with that with the next one, So what you do is that you would first take hota cha pota cha. Make it hota pota rau. Then take hota pota rau cha. neshtacha. It become hota, pota, neshta, raha. Then take that one. Then take that one. So then that one compound with the udgata. So then everything will take anang one at a time, because each one in the compound formation step, when you do two at a time, each one will have an uttarapadam. Will they all take anang. So if you can remember this one more time, aneka uktehe otru neshtodga. Because you might ask, what's the big deal? What is the big deal if you take two at a time, whether you take all together? So here is a beautiful example for us that it will make a difference. Because uttarapadam is required, if you take all together, only the second last one will have uttarapadam. If you take two at a time, in that case, all of them, all except the last, of course, will have the uttarapadam. Aneka uktehe otru neshtodgata raha. Dvayor dvandvyam krutva punardvandvetu pota neshtodgata raha. See, Siddhanta Kaumudi is not a very big book. It's not a very big book. If you understand one line of the Kaumudi, one line, slowly get your confidence up, and then you can also, so when you understand one line of the Kaumudi, that's the big step. For the rest of your life, hopefully the rest of your life now, this one is done for you, which is the Dhava Khadirau Sanya Paribhasham Anekoktehe Hotru Neshtodgata Raha Dvayor Dvandam Krutva Punardvandvetu Hota Pota Neshtodgata Raha. This much is now done. For the rest of your life, you don't have to come back to this again. This is, you can make it and you are done with this. So now coming back to where we were, so back here itself, she had given this example in Charte Dvandvaha, why it does make a difference whether you take all together or you take two at a time, what is the difference is this here. Of course, this is a rare example, but it does make a difference. In fact, now that we are back here, let me just give you this. We won't use this document when we did this prakaranam, but let me give you the quick synopsis of this document. Of course, going forward, we're going to follow the Kaumudi from here, but let me just give you what we did previously. So here he talks about in the Dvandva Samasaha, where we did a couple of classes back, to do the Purunipataha. The Purunipataha, how to decide Purunipataha. So that's what the class of, I think 2 classes back we were talking about. We're talking about the, I think it was April 13th we're talking about. Oh, yeah. So the April 13th class, okay. April 13th class, we talked about this thing about, the how to make the decision about Purunipataha. So in April 13th class, we're talking about this issue about Purunipataha. So here in the Kaumudi, those sutras in Kaumudi would be in this section, which is the Rajadantadishuparam, Rajadantadishuparam. We looked at in April 13th class. Eshu Pura Prayogarham Param Syat. I'm going back a little bit now because just to connect the prior classes with this document, okay, from prior classes. This is the April 13th class. So this Rajadantadishuparam we talked about, this one is something which deserved to be. Eshu Pura Prayogarham Param Syat. So something which was deserving to be, a Pura Prayogarham, comes in Gita, right? Pujarha Vadisudana. Arha means one who deserves to be. So Pujarha, one who deserves to be worshipped. So Pura Prayogarham, which should have been gone as the earlier member of the compound, Param Syat. So Rajadantadishuparam, Eshu Pura Prayogarham, Param Syat. So Dantanam Raja, Rajadanta. So again, we won't do in detail here. We saw the example Dampati, Jampati on April 13th. We do. So Dvandve Ghi also we saw on April 13th. Dvandve Ghi Sanyam Purvam Syat. The Dvandva compound which has the Ghi Sanya begins the Purva Padam. Harishcha Harishcha Hariharau and so forth. And we also saw this Vartikam Aneka Praptau Ekatra Niyamo Aniyamaha Sheshe Vartikam. So we also saw this on April 13th. Then we saw Ajadyadantam also we saw on April 13th in Idam Dvandve Purvam Syat. Idam Dvandve Purvam Syat. Idam Dvandve Purvam Syat. If you have a Padam which is Ajadi and Adantam ending in the Rasva Akaraha, such a pad will go Purvam. So Isha Krishnao. So Isha is ending with an Ach, beginning with an Ach, ending with a Rasvakara Adantam. So it goes first, Isha Krishna. This is all April 13 class. Alpashtaram. Alpashtaram, which we saw, and then that has the some Vartikams on that is Shiva Keshavau. See, no vritti over here. No vritti. Because Spashtam. This is the thing about Kaumadi. In Kaumadi, there is no vritti. Shiva Keshavau. All he says, Alpashtaram, which is straightforward, is that there is the one which has lesser number of vowels goes first, Shiva Keshavau. Then we saw Vartikam, we saw all these in on April 13 class, this one, Ritu Nakshatranam, Samaksharanam, Anupurvena, and we saw these, and then so on and so forth. This is all April 13 class. Then from the next class, for the last two classes, for which is April 20th, April 27th, even last class, we are talking about this, Prakaranam of Samahara Dvandvaha. When is Samahara? So this from 906 onwards, we started on April 20th class, April 20th. I'm just going back connecting for you because we didn't weren't using the document at that time. So from April 20th class, we were talking about this one, Samahara Dvandvaha, when we can form. So we start with 242. This was April 20th class. So April 20th, April 27th, and also on May 4th, we're talking about these set of rules which were in Ashtadhyayi from 242 to 2416. We're talking April 20th, 27th, and May 4th. In the Kaumudi document, if you want to smart them in your Kaumudi document, they are here. They are from this 906. Dvandvascha Praniturya Senanganam Eshan Dvandvaha Ekavasyat Panipadam, and so on. And then he says that Samaharascha Ekatvat Ekatve Siddhe Niyamartham Prakaranam. Niyamartham Prakaranam. Entire Prakaranam Niyamartham. This will be only in Samahararthe. Samahara. It will not be in Itaritra Yogaha. And then we saw this one, we skipped these 2, 3, we skipped over here. And then we looked at Jatira Praninam, which is the main sutram which we saw the last 3 classes. Jatira Praninam, the most important sutram in that, in a way, is Prani Vajja Jati Vachinam Dvandvaha Ekavasyat. Dhana Shashkuli, so these are 2 edible things. Dhana Shashkuli, I think popcorn and, I guess chaklis, they make Shashkuli. So they are, when you're talking about a class of items without naming a member of the class, general class, only Samahara only can be formed. So Dhana Shashkuli, then Praninam, which Shudraha, if he's talking about Praninam, then it doesn't apply. So he gives 2 examples here. And then so on, he goes, Vishishtalingo Nadi Desha Gramaha, Nadi Desho Gramaha, Vishishtalingo Nadi Desho Gramaha. The Grama Varja Nadi Deshavachinam Hinnalinganam Samahare Dvandva Ekavasyat. This we saw, I think, on April 20th or maybe April 27th. Let's see, did we give the example? Yeah, we saw on April 20th, we saw this one. Udhyascha Iravati Cha Udhyeravati. So this we saw on April 20th. So this is going back there. We saw this one. So Grama Varja, excluding Grama Varja, Nadi Deshavachinam. By the way, when you read Kaumadi and Tattvabodhini, it will tell you also how to speak Sanskritam. How does Bhattoji compose his sentences? What words does he use? So this is how we should be speaking also when we speak. Of course, it's a technical subject, but you can also learn how to speak. So how they speak, we can speak also. So Grama Varja Nadi Desha Vachinam. Grama Varja means comes in Gita. This comes in Gita. Rasa Varjam Rasopyasya. Rasa Varjam. So this is the, not to sidetrack too much, but this is the Pratya called Namul. Rasa Varjam Rasopyasya. Chapter number 2. Rasa Varjam. Rasa Varjam. Always connect to Gita. Chapter 2, I think number Rasavarjam Rasopyasya Parandrishtva Nivartate. Rasavarjam comes in Gita. This is the Namul Pratyaha. This Namul Pratyaha. But anyway, so he's used there Grama Varja Nadi Desha Vachinam, excluding this name of a village. Bingalingana, different lingam, then Samahare Ibhavati. Udhyascha Iravati Cha Udhyeravati, we saw April 20th. Then we saw this one, Kshudrantavaha kshudra jantavaha. Kshudra means which are tiny creatures. We also saw that. Esham samahare. This is a typo here. There's some typo here. Esham samaharaha. Samaharaha eva. Samahare eva dvandvaha. Ekavasyat. Yes, so some of these typos we are going to correct. I hope we can get this. But still, it's not bad. This document is quite clean. But if you have a book version of it, you can try to correct some of these typos. This number, so this number 912 has a typo on it, and the correct version should be samahare dvandvaha ekavasyat. Esham samahare. Okay, so that one is we saw yuka liksham, which is some kind of germs. So the tiny creatures. This was 912 in the Kaumadi. Kshudra jantavaha. Then yesham cha virodaha shashvatikaha. So which are always in the natural enmity. Yesham pragvat. This is the thing with the Kaumadi. So yesham pragvat, as before. What means pragvat? Pragvat means that you should follow in the Kaumadi order. If you are following the Kaumadi order, then you can know what pragvat. Pragvat means as before. As the earlier one, same thing. Same as before. Same as before, if you look at this vritti out of context, you don't know what it means, Esham Pragvat. But so we expect you to be following the Kaumadi in the Kaumadi order. Because it says Esham Samahare Vadvandva Ekavasya. So Samahare. So now this means Esham Pragvat. So those of these which are naturally opposed to each other, they will, again, now this 248, 249, you can again keep the Ashtadhyayi order in front of your eyes at all times. So 248, 249. And then, because so far we don't have the Vikalpa yet. Vikalpa comes only from 2412. 2412 Vikalpa starts from 2412. So if you look at this one, it says Esham Pragvat Ahinakulam. So snake and mongoose Ahinakulam. Then this one we skip the next one. And then Gavasha Prabhuti Nicha. I think this you may have seen in the April 27th class, I think. 52411. Let me see. We may have seen 2411. At the April 27 class, 2411 in the April 27 class, we saw this. I'm sorry, I'm going back today. I'm sorry, but we have the document from now onward. We'll follow this document. I just want to go back last two classes, see what where we connect this one. So yathocharitani sadhuni syuhu. So these are ready-made form. Yathocharitani, as they have been pronounced, as they have been given. Sadhuni syuhu gavasham. So these are to be taken as they are. As they are given, they are to be accepted as being correct. That's what he gives. Then comes the main sutra, which I think spent the whole class on. Vibhasha. This is the hardest sutra in the whole prakranam. The toughest sutra is this one. Vibhasha, vriksha, mriga, trina, dhanya, vyanjana, pashu, shakunya, shva, vadava, purvadhara, purvaparadharottaranam. So vrikshadinam saptanam dvandvaha ashva vadava ityadi dvandvatrayam cha pragvadva. So you can take samahare, you can also take it as itaretara yogaha. So then he goes on to describe vrikshadau visheshanam eva grahanam plakshanyagrodham. So plakshanyagrodhaha, and so on he gives ruru prashatam. So mriga, these are names of deer. We talked in detail in the last couple of classes, so won't spend time today. Trina, see how the examples in order. Notice the examples, by the way. Notice the examples. So first gives vriksha. Vriksha example is plakshanyagrodham. Then plakshanyagrodhaha, because optional, right? Optional. Pragvadva. Va. It is va. So he gives in the samahare and gives itaratara yoga also he gives. Then he gives mruga. Mruga he gives to example. Ruru prushatam. Ruru prushataha he gives. Then truna. Truna he gives kashakasham, kashakasha, and so on he gives all the things. Now we did all this in April 27th. The last class also we talked about this why, aparanina. So why does he have all these things over here? Because these are all, because ye aparan, this is an important statement here, this one. This one is a important statement. Ye apraninaha. In this list of 8, 2, 4, 12, which are not pranis, which is vriksha, mriga, vriksha, truna, etc. Ye apraninaha, tesham grahanam, jatira praninam iti nitye prapte vikalpanartham. because we have seen from the beginning itself that any Dvandva can be, as a starting point, can be either Samahara, Vitaritara Yoga. Now then, why do we need Sutrali Vibhasha? Why do you need Vibhasha at all? Because Vibhasha is not needed. We already had Vibhasha. So then he explains that Ye Praninaha Tesham Grahanam Yatira Praninam Nitya Prapte Vikalpanartham. If we did not have Vibhasha, it would be Nitya. We would have had a Nitya Dvandva, Nitya Samahara, but then he wants to make Vikalpa again. So anyway, we went through this, I think in April 27th class, we went through all of this, is why do we have each one of these in this sutram when we don't need Vibhasha? There must be something which would have applied, that Panini wants to put the Vikalpa back. It may be then Pashugrahanam Hastya Shvadishu Senangatvat Nitya Prapte Mriganam Mrugaireva. So this one also. Why does Pani put the Pashu? Because we saw if the Senanga, if they form parts of an army, you would have to make a Samahara. So again, to put back the Vibhasha, Panini puts it in this. So this is complicated. This is complicated, okay? It's complicated. So if you don't understand the whole thing, don't worry about it. But basically, the sutra was not required. Because Vibhasha, we can always make for any Dvandva. So now he goes and explains why each one of them is mentioned here. And he says, the Pashu Grahanam Shastya Shvadishu Senangatva Nitya Prapte. Again, Vikalpanartham. Mruganam Mrugaireva Shakuninam Taireva Ubhayatra Dvandvaha. Ubhayatra means Samahara as well as Itareta Yogaha. When deer with deer and birds with birds, then only we can go both ways. Anyestu saha Itareta Yogaha eva. Iti niyamartham Mruga Shakuni Grahanam. There's some typos here. So that is the so Mruga and Shakuni is that if only Mruga and Mruga means deer with deer and bird with bird will form Dvandva in both the places, Samahara and Itareta Yoga. If it is Mruga with someone else or Shaku or bird with something else, then it will only be Itareta Yoga. So in order to form the Niyamaha, Panini has put the Mruga and the Shakuni in this. And then so on, he gives other ones which we saw in the April, so we won't go into everything again, take too much time again today. So this was in the April 27th class, most of this one. And then I think this one we started in the April, May 4th class, this was Vipatishiddham cha nadhikarnavachi. So Shitoshnam Shitoshne. So when this has Viruddharthanam Adravyavachinam Dvandvaha Ekavadvasya. So if you have something which are opposites, which should not be Adravyavachinam, should not be a substance, should not be pointing to a physical thing, then you can have the Samahara also, you can have the Itareta Yoga also. Again, why do we need this sutram? Because of the fact that he explains that Vaikalpikaha Samahara Dvandvaha Charthe Dvandvaha iti Sutrina Praptaha eva. So we already had the Vaikalpikaha Samahara Dvandvaha. So, again a typo here. So Viruddharthanam yadi bhavati. If it's a Dvandva of opposites, hot and cold, sorrow and happiness, happiness and sorrow, tarhi adravyavachinam eva iti niyamarthamidam. Again, same thing. That if you have hot and cold water, that will not go in Samahara. It will only go in Itareta Yoga. So to make this niyamaha, the sutram is there. So the sutram is very, very deceptive. Very deceptive. It looks like Panini is putting the vidhanam here with the sutram, but it is not. It is actually a niyamartham sutram. That when it refers to a dravyam, then it has to be only Itareta Yogaha. Tena dravyavachinam Itareta Yogaha eva. Shitoshne udakestaha is hot and cold water. Vipratishiddham kim, and so on he goes. Again, if you don't understand all of this today, don't worry about it, but keep it in front of your eyes. So the rest of your life you have to decipher this. Every single word, go through it very carefully and try to understand what is being said. If you don't understand, leave it, come back to it later. This is not an easy topic. This one is not an easy topic. Because the entire topic is Niyamartham. It's a wonderful showcase of Niyamartham. This topic from 242 to 2416 is a wonderful showcase of Niyamartham, which is not easy. You have to understand what Niyama is being done where, in which way. Okay. So this, I just wanted to link back the prior 3-4 classes to this to the Kaumudi, and then we also saw this one, na dadi paya adini. These will not go in Samahara. Etani naiva ekavasyuhu. So these will never go into this Samahara. Dadi paya si and so on. He gives examples which you saw. Vang manase, ruksame vang manase, and so on. These also will not go in Dvandva. Ruksame vang manase. And then these two we kind of skipped in the class. We won't go in that, not very important. And then we come to today's class, prior class, Anangruto Dvandve. So from 901, started this Charte Dvandvaha, this Prakaranam starts. In the last 3 classes, we have seen all these rules. This was mainly April 20th class. We saw up to this one. April 27, we started from here. Dvandvascha Prani Turya Senanganam. And then from after that, April 27, I think we started from maybe somewhere here. Vishishta Lingo Nadi Desha Gramaha. I think somewhere here, we may have started, maybe we may have started somewhere here, maybe. And then May 4th, we are talking about Sutram again and some of the complexities. And we also went on in May 4 to talk about this Sutram, which is the 945, which you talked about the Achatura, Vichatura, and so on in great detail in the last class. Okay, so now connecting back now. So now onwards, we'll follow this document. We'll follow this one. Of course, it's following the Antoine Book, but we will refer back to this document. So, Anangruto Dvandve, Vidya Yoni Samandhavachina, Mrudantanam Dvandve Anand Sautarapade, Hota Potaro, we did last class. Then, but Hotru Potru Neshtodgata, Raha, we just talked about that. When we take Anekam, so when you take all of them together, only the Neshtru will take the Anangadesha, because Uttarapadam is only the Udgatru. So Hotru and Potru do not have Uttarapade Parataha, so they will not take Ananga. Then he gives Mata Pitarau, because look at the 2 examples. Look at the examples, how beautiful they are. Every example has a point. No example, you just repeat the example's point. Remember that. The Kaumudi, every example has a point. So he gave Hota Potarau, and then he gave Hotru Potru Neshtod Gataraha, because there are 4 of them taken together. So that's a different point from this example. Then he talks about Mata Pitaro because of Yoni Sambandha. Yoni. So these are Vidya Sambandha, 2 examples. Because you did 2 examples because you want to make the point that the prior one will not take Anangadesha. Then Yoni Sambandha, 1 example here. Mata Pitaro, we did in the class last time, Mata Pitaro. So, Mata Cha Pita Cha Mata Pitaro. Again, we remind yourself that why does Matru go first, Pitru goes second, even though Matru has Pitru has Lagvaksharam, Lagu, while Matru has Matru. So one is Guru, because of Abhyarhitancha, because in the Sutram Alpashtaram, there are many Vartikam on that, and then one of them is saying Abhyarhitancha. So this Sutram Alpashtaram tells you which one to put first, and Abhyarhitancha tells us that one who's more important goes first. So Mata Pitarao, you can stop and think that the mother, normally ladies first works. So in fact here, let's see in Kaumudi also may have given that Alpashtaram is given here Abhyarhitancha. Here Abhyarhitancha. Tapasa Parvatau. So he gives the example. Which one comes first? One which is most important. Which comes first? That's Abhyarhitancha. That's why Mata goes first, Pita goes second. So Mata Cha Pita Cha Mata Pitarau. And then we went through the one in the last class, all the similar steps which we saw. Matru, well, basically Mata Cha Pita Cha Mata Pitarau, same thing. You make Matru plus Pitru, and then again make the Anangadesha by doing the Nitya Sutram that stops Anekashi Sarvasya, and then the same when you go through all the steps, Anubandha Lopaha, and then again the Nakara is to stop, Urandraparaha is stopped because Nakara is there, and then but I think the last one was a typo. Last week I made a typo. 1162 Pratyaya Lope Pratyaya Lakshanam Supting Antam Padam No Lopa Pradipadikantashya No Lopaha. So 8 to 7, because you get the Anang, you want to remove the Nakara, you have the Pratyaya Lope Pratyaya Lakshanam because the Sup came and went, Pratyaya Lope Pratyaya Lakshanam Supting Antam Padam, and No Lopa Pradipadikant. So that is the 8 to 7, because that's how the anang, the nakara, finally goes away by 8 to 7, but it does the job of preventing urandraparaha, nanapapadipatikanta. So this is what we did last time. Now let's see what the next thing in the Kaumudi is. That says mata pitarau, then putra anyatarasyam iti ataha. So that from this prior sutram, iti ataha manduka pritya putre iti anuvrittehe pita putrau. So what he's trying to say is that this sutram only says anang rituva dvandve. Rukarantam pradipadikam. But then we want a form like pita putrau. So how do we justify that? Manduka platihi. So manduka platihi means that the sometimes a anuvritti skips one or two rules in between and goes to the next sutram. So that is what we are going to do here. So it is manduka pratya. I think there might be a typo in document. Give me 1 second. Manduka pratihi. So manduka pratihi. Okay. Manduka pratihi. So manduka. Okay, manduka prati. Manduka prati means that like a frog's jump, anuvritti jumps. It skips one or two rules and goes to the next rule. So this what's happening is here in this sutram, putre anyatarasyam. From here, putre will jump these two and come over here. Anand to the putre. So when putra also follows as uttarapadam, also then if you have the purapadam, which is this, the purapadam has to be rukarantam. Okay. So putra can be uttarapadam, but the purapadam, same conditions. Has to be rukarantam. It has to be vidya yoni sambandha. In this case, basically yoni sambandha it has to be. So those conditions are still there. That putra can be uttarapadam, but the purapadam has to be rukarantam. It has to have the yoni sambandha. So of course, because putra is there, vidya sambandha is unlikely. It should be yoni sambandha. So those conditions doesn't mean when putra follows anything will take ananga adesha. No, putra can follow, but the prior padam has to be rukarantam, has to have the yoni sambandha with putra. So I think here in the Tattvabodhini commentary, while Tattvabodhini is the authorized commentary on the Siddhanta Kaumudi. So when he says, I think he does say that putra. Okay. Tena vibhasha suputrayoh ityatra sambandheti bhavaha. Says anayorapi yoni kritaha sambandha janya janaka bhava lakshanaha. So means that it will be, father and son. So yoni sambandha it has to be. Satyam, so purvatra, so mandika pluti vibhasha ityatra sambandheti bhavaha. So basically mandika pluti, because the in between was a vibhasha was coming here. So why does Bhattu is mandika pluti? Because the vibhasha doesn't come down here. You don't want vibhasha to come down. It's mandika pluti. You want to skip these two. So that's why you understand why every word is so loaded in the Kaumudi. The Kaumudi is really a thing of beauty. To enjoy for the rest of your life, you can enjoy it. Is every single word. Why does he say the mandika pluti? Because of the fact that you better not have vibhasha from the prior rule. Because here we had a vibhasha coming in between here. So this better not come down. If you take putra all the way down and link with vibhasha, then you are stuck with vibhasha. You don't want vibhasha coming over here. So vibhasha ityatra na sammadhyate iti bhavaha. That's what he says. Okay, mata pita putra. Anayorapi yoni kritaha sambandha. That we have to have. Okay. Now, next one, the next sutram in the Kaumudi, which is next sutram in the book also, which is, he says that devata dvandve cha is iha uttarapade pare anang. So it means that uttarapade parataha when you have anang. Now the commentary in the Tattvabodhini says that andrikarantartham avidya yoni sambandharthancha vachanam. So this, why do we need sutram again? We don't use just the prior rule again. No, because prior rule required two things. Rukarantam it has to be, and it has to have vidya yoni sambandha. Now in devata dvandve, you don't need to have rukarantam. You don't need to have vidya yoni sambandha. Tattvabodhini says is that anrukarantartham avidya yoni sambandharthancha vachanam. So that's why it says iha. Iha means devata dvandve. Iha. Uttara pade pare anand. Mitra varunau. So mitrascha varunascha becomes, by the way, mitram. Mitram, which means your friend, that is neuter. Mitram. Sahayaha mitram. Okay, I think I make a mistake here. Number is to be 6-3. Is that Kalpesh? Okay. Let me see. I think let me just correct this one, which Kalpesh is saying. Is Putre?
It's that is in Siddhanta Kaumudi. In the Siddhanta Kaumudi.
In the Kaumudi, okay, type. Okay, this is the whole sutram coming down. Okay. So basically, Putre, yeah, Putre Anitrasam is a sutram. Only Putra is coming down, Kalpesh, from Putre Anitrasam. Only Putra is coming down. So
okay, that is fine. But that I found. I agree with you. But the 922 Devta Dvandve is 626, 6326.
Thank you. There's some typos here. This should be 6326. Okay, and we're going to figure out how to edit all this. Maybe I can, from next class onwards, Kalpesh is going to show me. I can edit in the class. If you can edit this in the class itself, you can edit some of these. It should be 6326. This should be 6326. Okay, not 6326 here. So please make that one is correct over here, but his document is wrong. It is 6326. 6326. Devata Dvandve. Okay. So what this sutram says is that it says mitrascha varunascha. Mitra means when it means your friend, it is neuter. When it is this Surya Devata, Mitraha, then it becomes masculine. Mitrascha varunascha mitra varunau. So what has happened here? If you just look at nothing is straightforward. Take mitrascha varunascha mitrasu varunasu. Of course, as usual, supo dhatu. I mean the kritadita samasascha supo dhatu padavidikayoho. Mitra varna, and the ending akara of mitra will take the anangadesha va nitcha, and then this usual after you get the pratyalopi pratyalakshanam suptingantam padam, and then nalopa prajbadikantas. So basically you follow all these steps which you have saw before. So I think we gave example in the class last time. Indra varunau we gave last time. So Indra su varuna su, then became the anangadesha. By 6326, as Kalpesh said correctly, then Nitya Sutram, and then of course we have Pratyalope Pratyalakshanam because Sup came and went, and then Supo Dhadpadivadikayoho Padasanya, and then this one is the Suptingantam Padam gets the Padasanya, and then this Nakara goes away. So to remove this Nakara we need Padasanya, okay? So to get Padasanya we need Suptingantam Padam. For that we have to use Pratyalope Pratyalakshanam. And then so we go through the steps, and then finally Nalava Prajbadikantas. Here Indra Varunau. And I told you in the Chamaka Prashnaha, Agna Vishnu Sajosha Sema Vardhantu Vangiraha. Agna Vishnu. Comes Agni becomes Agna Vishnu. Chamaka Prashnaha, very first when Chamaka Prashnaha is Agna Vishnu. When you listen to Chamaka being chanted, Chamaka Prashnaha, when you chant it yourself, you're doing that, then Agna Vishnu, when you say, remember this sutram 6326 is that, because in Gita we will not have this, I don't think we have this Gita, I don't think we have it in Gita, but this one, Devata Dvandve Cha. So what does Kaumudi say beyond that? Then what he says is that, Vayu Shabdas Prayoge Pratishedha. When the word Vayu is used, one of the Devatas, then you cannot apply Devata Dvandve Cha. So this comes in coming back to a textbook again, which you've been following. You go to this one where Antoine says is that, now we're on the second point here, is when the names of two gods are compounded, we had that, and then he says that the last, except when Vayu is one of the two names. It's going to be, when Vayu can be one of the two, it can be either the prior name or the following, either case, except when Vayu is one of the two names, then we cannot use this sutram. So this is given in the Kaumudi, is the Vartikam on that, is the on that same sutram 6326 comes the Vartikam, which says that Vayu Shabda Prayoge Pratishedha. Very straightforward, simple. So this we can understand immediately, I think, right? All this is saying is that this sutram Devata Dvandvecha does not apply when Vayu Shabda Prayoge Pratishedha. The Vartikam number. Okay, Vartikam. So Agnivayu does not become Agnavayu. Agnischa Vayuscha Agnivayu and Natu Agnavayu and Vayavagni. Vayavagni also same thing, does not become Vayagni. Doesn't become Vayu. Vayu doesn't become Anangadesha. Vayavagni only. Okay. Then what it says is that Punardvanda Grahanam Prasiddha Sahacharyasya Parigrahartham. It says Tena Brahma Prajapati Ityadau Na Anang. Etadhi Naika Havirbhagitvena Shrutam Napi Loke Prasiddham Sahacharyam. One more time. Punar Dvandva Grahanam. What does he mean by that? Punar Dvandva Grahanam. Because we already had Dvandva coming in the prior sutram, which is Ananguto Dvandve. Dvandve already is there. Then why does Panini mention Dvandve again? Dvandve again. So Punar Dvandva Grahanam is Prasiddha Sahacharyasya Parigrahartham. In order to only take Parigraha, only to accept, only to take those terms, those devatas which are Prasiddha Sahacharyam, which are known to go together, well known to go together. So Prasiddha Sahacharyasya Parigrahartham. So this is what Bhattoji says. Today is a big day for us. We should have done this long time ago to start with the Kaumudi. So this Kaumudi is really our home base. So I'm glad we started this today. I mean, we don't have the Kaumudi fully tapped out. We are working on that. Today is a big day. Because from now on, we will try to follow Kaumudi as best as we can. Because one time one topic is done, it is done now. Because this one is done means it is finished. This one is done means it's finished. And we have to see very clearly what is said. Because the beauty of this is that this is the authority. This is the authority. When you say something, you can say Kaumudi says it, so it must be so. It must be so. Not because some other book says there's a typo in some other book, the English book and this. Don't do any of that. First come over here. If you don't find the answer, then of course we have to look further. But only thing in Kaumudi is that because meant to be memorized, it will be in brief. Because it's meant to be memorized, it will be in brief, okay? Everything is in Kaumudi. The Kaumudi is the complete grammar of the language, including Vedics for us. The Kaumudi is the complete language. Means everything from Dhatu Patha is an appendix is there, Ganapatha is there, including Unadi Sutrani, by the way. The Unadi Sutram which Panini will not discuss Ashtadhyayi. In the Ashtadhyayi, Panini does not discuss Unadi Sutrani, which is, which are these, what I'm talking about is this one. A little bit sidetracking here, but in the Ashtadhyayi, Panini only says Unadayo Bahulam. It's all what Panini says. But in the Kaumudi, there is a full section on Unadi Sutram. So the Kaumudi claims to be, and it is, a complete grammar of the language. Every grammar question that you have, any grammar question, should be in the Kaumudi, maybe in brief, maybe in brief. It's very complicated, may not be there because it's too complicated, doesn't want to put it there. But otherwise, the Kaumudi is the complete grammar of the whole language, complete grammar. So I'm very happy today. So Mahan Harsha Jataha is finally, we are looking at Kaumudi and we are trying to get bits and pieces of it. So Punar Dvandva Grahanam Prasiddha Sahacharyasya. Keep on repeating this. Keep on repeating this sentence. You'll get the meaning. You'll get the meaning slowly. Even though on day one you don't have it, it's okay. It's okay. Just like Gita. Gita on day one, the meaning won't come to you, but it doesn't matter. Keep on repeating. Punardvandva Grahanam Prasiddha Sahacharyasya Parigrahartham. Which means, and slowly you get used to it, slowly. So because Dvandva Anurutti is coming, again Dvandva being mentioned by Panini, Prasiddha Sahacharyasya Parigrahartham is only to accept those terms which are known to be going together, well known to, whose association. The Sahacharyam is association. Sahacharaha. Sahacharaha is one who goes together. Sahacharyam is tasya bhavaha, means association. Sahacharyam, Prasiddha. So those who are well known to be associated together, whose association is well known. So only those devatas whose association is well known, only those will be taken in the sutram. Tena, because of this, tena, because for this, due to this reason, Brahma Prajapati ityado na ananga. Because Brahman and Prajapati, so Brahma cha Prajapatischa. will not take Anand, does not become Brahma Prajapati, because these are not going together. Why does he says etadhi, right? Ignore this B, this we're going to correct this, because this B, just ignore that for time being. This is like a typo here. This document has some typos, so please ignore this B right now. So etadhi, because these two, Brahma Prajapati, naika havir bhagitvena shrutam. So they don't take the havir in the yajna. They don't give offer havihi to the Brahma and Prajapati at the same time. So naika havir bhagitvena shrutam. So they are so na eka havir bhagitvena shrutam. So they don't take havis together in the yajna. Napi loke prasiddham. And not only that, you cannot even claim that they are go together in the literature or in the available, the Veda Shastram, whatever it is. They don't go together. They are not known to go together. Their association is not proved, is not famous. So they will not take Brahma Prajapati. So one more time. Punardvandva grahanam prasiddha sahacharyasya parigrahartham, and then tena Brahma Prajapati ityadau nanang etadhi naika havir bhagitvena shrutam napi loke prasiddham sahacharyam, not sahacharyam. So that is coming in the book now, and because the book he gives the same thing. In the book he has given that it is okay, in the book he has not given that. Okay, I'm sorry. In the book he has not given this point. Okay. So in the book this point is not given. You can add it there. It's a Brahma Prajapati, an example like this. We will not get the Anang because, because only when you have Prasiddha Sahacharyam, only that will be taken. But the next point talks about Agni. That's given in this Kaumudi also. The Agni is, this Antoine text. That time also a book called by Kale, very famous grammar book. Kale is, I think, the higher assumption grammar, and that basically Kale says there also that I've taken Kaumudi and sometimes I've literally just translated word for word from the Kaumudi or the Ashtadhyayi. So these English books are basically taking same thing and doing the translation for you. And this Antoine book basically done the same thing. Antoine is more abridged than Kale. Kale gives more details than Antoine does. So bottom line is that they're all basically taking Kaumudi points and Ashtadhyayi and bringing it here. So Agni lengthens his final E before Soma and Varuna. So now we are in this one here. So Agni lengthens this final E, Karaha becomes Soma and Varuna. That sutram is the next one, which is in also next one Ashtadhyayi, which is 6327. 6327. 6327 is 6327, sorry, which is the Idagnehe Somavarunayoho, straightforward sutram. Idagnehe. So Id is the Adeshaha. Adeshaha. So the Dirgha Ikaraha Adeshaha. Agnehe. For the Agni, of course, Alontyasya. Alontyasya, the ending Ikara will become an Ikaraha. When what happens? Somavarunayoho. Very nothing complicated. See, these are so easy, very, very easy. All it is saying is that if you have the Pura Padam as Agni in a compound, Uttara Padam is Soma or Varuna, then Agni becomes Agni. Agni becomes Agni. That's all it is saying. Let's follow the Kaumudi. What is saying in the Kaumudi is that it says that Idagnehe Soma Varunayoho Devata Dvandve Ityeva. It has to be referred to Devata, not to something else. Not to something else. Now in the Tattvabodhini, he gives comment is Idagnehe Anango Apavadoyam. Anango Apavadaha. Because prior sutra was saying Devata Dvandvecha Ananga. But this one is saying that if Agni is the primary word, then you have to use Devata Dvandve Ityeva. Has to be referred to Devatas. You have to use the Ida Adeshaha, not the Ananga Adeshaha. Anango Apavadaha. It's an Apavada for Anang. So the examples given is that now notice one thing. Notice one thing. That before giving the example, Bhattoji takes the next sutra. Now why does he do that? It's very, very critical to examine this wonderful thing is that when does Bhattoji extract the sutra sutram from the Ashtadhyayi. When does he call? It's like a computer program. He calls the routine. He calls the sutram. From the Ashtadhyayi, Siddhanta Kaumudi calls the sutram. He takes it from there. Now, why does he take it right now? What is the reason? Because, very simple, the example that the Bhattoji wants to get to is Agnishtomaha, Agni Shomau, Agni Shomau, Agni Varno. The example is Agni Shomau, Agni Shomau. To get to his example, he has to justify how the Sakara became a Murdhanya Shakaraha. So for that, he needs the next sutram. So before taking example, so on this sutram, the example is here, down here, Agni Shomau. But he cannot get to that, cannot get to it until he takes this one. Agnehe stutstoma somaha. Agnehe paresham esham sasya shah syat samase. Look what happened. He jumped. He jumped from 6,327 all the way to 8,382 because he needs the Shatta Vidhayaka Sutram, Agni Shomau, Agni Shomau. So one more time, Agnehe Stut Soma Somaha. So this is 8,382. Always keep your Ashtadhyayi at your side, reading Kaumudi. I repeat many times. The only thing about Kaumudi is that please never lose sight of the Ashtadhyayi. Never lose Ashtadhyayi. So, Agnehe Stut Stoma Somaha. What it means is that this is the when Agni is preceding Agnehe, following Agni, so Panchami Ekvachanam. Following Agni, this word Stut and the word Stoma and the word Soma. These will take Agnehe Paresham. So you know this Panchami. Tasmadityuttarasya. Agnehe Paresham Esham. Esham means that Tut Soma Somanam. These Esham Sasya Shasyat Samase. In a compound, if you Agni as a prior term for either Stut or Stoma or Soma, in that case take Shakara. Now, first of all, let's give a little bit of background here. Why do we need this sutram? Why could we not just use the Adesha Pratyayoho? Adesha Pratyayoho. Could we not use that? What is stopping us from that? Adesha Pratyayoho. First of all, in the word Soma, the problem is that we need an Adesha Pratyasakaraha. Adesha Pratyasakaraha. We don't have that. Second thing is that there's one more sutram which I always remind you, which I'll remind you again. This is the Vigraha Vakyam in the book now, so I mean in the document today. So Agnishcha Somascha, Agni Shomau. So Agnishcha Somascha. So Agni Su, then you get Soma plus Su. Soma Agni this is the fire god and the moon god. Agnishcha Somascha, of course, Charte Dvandvaha. Then we do the usual step, which is Supo Dhatu Pratipadikayo. I mean, Kutrita Samasascha Supo Dhatu Pratipadikayo. So we get Agni Soma become Agni Soma. So by 1, 2, 46, Kutrita Samasascha Supo Dhatu Pratipadikayo. Now notice one thing is that the Soma has the Padasanya because of Pratyay Lope Pratyay Lakshanam Supting Antam Padam. So now Adesha Pratyayoho has a very important Nishedha. Please keep that in mind, which is that Sat Padadyoho. Just like when we do the Natta Prakaranam, just like when we do the the Rashabhyam known as Samanapade and Atkupvan Vayapi, we have a Nishedha Kandam which is coming at so the Nattam, not the topic right now, but just give an example. Is that when we talk of changing of na to na, the last 6 rules talk about when the change does not happen. From starting with this rule of na, from na up to this one, will tell you when nattam does not take place. Similarly, when you're talking about the murdhanya adeshaha, here also there is a section at the end which tells us when it does not happen. And in that section, we have the C na, starting from na. From 83110 starts the section Ashta. You need to keep the Ashtadhyayi also in mind. And see, this the Kaumudi will not tell you now. See, Kaumudi will only take one sutram from here. Took only sutram Sat Padadhyo. Will take, for example. It might take a sutram which is, 8382 we saw. Agnehe Stut Stoma Somaha. But what we need to keep in mind is that why could we not just use Adesha Pratyayoho? Why could, because Agni we have the Ikaraha and we have the Sakara falling. First of all, that Sakara has to be an Adesha Pratyayavayavaha. In Soma we don't have that, Adesha Pratyayoho. Second thing is that even if it were, then what has to happen is that, let's take the other example, but to Agnishtut. Okay, let's look at that one now. This is not today's topic, but because, see, this one more thing is that, see, now that Bhattoji took this sutram here, even though right now the provision of this sutram is to explain Agni Shomao, he has to also give examples of Agnishtut. Example, Agnishtut is not really a part of the Dvandva Samasa at all. Inko hoya. Inko is there, Hema. So Hema, Inko we have, right? So Hema, we have Inko ho. That's fine. So we have Agni.
Correct,
right?
correct.
But we don't have the Adesha Pratyayoho. And we have one more problem in But look at this example, Agnishtut now. One more thing is that notice that Agnishtut is not a Dvandva Samasa at all. But what happened was that because Bhattoji had to take this sutram right now, Agnehe Stut Stoma Somaha, in order to get to Agni Shoma, he's taking it. But now that he got the sutram, he has to give examples for it now. So this is a tough thing in Kaumudi. See, in Kaumudi, you might think this might be in somewhere else, but the fact that this example, Agnishtut, is coming in a section on Dvandva Samasaha. This is not a Dvandva Samasaha. This is not a Dvandva Samasa. It's Upapada Samasa. Agnishtu is to praise. So that which praises Agni, this could be maybe somebody, this could be a Mekana, Yagna maybe, could be someone who praises, whatever it might be. Stu is to praise, Stauti is to praise, Stuti. So this is not a Dvandva Samasaha. This is the Tukkagamaha, this Dhatu Shtu, and this is going to be a Upapada Samasa, which you see later. Then why mention it here? Because of the fact that Bhattoji had to take this sutram over here to get to Agni Shomao, and because this sutram also contains Stut and Stoma, he has to give these examples, which are not Dvandva compounds. So, not Dvandva compound. This is important about Kaumudi is that you may find an example in a completely different spot than what you would expect. Because the thing is that he doesn't want to repeat this sutram. When we do Upapada Samasas, Bhattoji will not repeat this sutram. So the thing is that you have to have extreme economy over here. Economy. You don't want to repeat anything because people want to memorize this. So once you complete the sutram Agnistut Stoma Stomaha, and we got Agnishtut, when we talk about Upapada Samasa, we will not repeat this one. We will not repeat it there. Let's look at this example, Agnishtut. Now Agni Soma, what we have is that the Sakara of Soma is neither an Adesha nor a Pratyavayavaha, so there itself is a problem. We could not use 8359. Oh, sorry. Okay, the typo, thank you. Or the typo in my Word document. Thank you, Kalpesh. 82229, okay. In the prior class, you have it right? Yeah, it's sorry. Charte Dvandvaha is 2229, I'm sorry. Charte Dvandvaha. The typo in the document, please correct it. It's 2229, I'm sorry. Charte Dvandvaha is 2229, okay, not 20. Thank you, Kalpesh. So Charte Dvandvaha is 2229. Let me look at the prior class. Yeah, 2229, 2229, okay, not 2228, 29, okay, 29, okay. So now, but let's look at this. So when we look at the Agni Shomau, we definitely cannot use 8329 because that's Adesha Pratyayoho. But let's look at Agnishtut. Now Agnishtut, what happens is that, which is not today's topic, but Agnishtut, what happens, but I want to mention one sutram which is important. That's why I'm talking Agnishtut right now. Agnishtut I want to talk about because it's an important sutram, Nisheda Sutram, which I want you to remember. It's a very important sutram, very important sutram. And that one, this dhatu in Agnishtut, the dhatu pathaha, the dhatu shtut will be in the mudanya shakaraha. Agnishtut will be in dhatu part, just checking dhatu part, agnishtut, 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 shtui stutau. The dhatu in dhatu part is shtui stutau. In the dhatu part, this agnish, this dhatu stu is has the, by the way, as you know, we have this nice document which gives you all the dhatus. So we can look in there and see that in the dhatu part, this dhatu stu actually has a murdhanyaha shakara over there. Look at the dhatu suchi over here. We look at dhatu shtu. Dhatu shtu, when we look at dhatu shtu, it is, see this word, shtui stutau. Shtui stutau. So when we do that, the dhatu in dhatu pata is shtui stutau. Now, when we have that, what will happen is that we will, so let's talk about this for a second, okay? Let's talk about agnishtut. So shtui stutau. Now, then we use dhatu ade shastha, any dhatu in dhatu pata, which is a murdanya shakaradi, that is actually a danja sakaradi. So agnish shtui stuto in dhatu patha. This is in dhatu patha. In the dhatu patha. After that we use the so a little bit of side tracking here, but anyway, I think this is important for us. Dhatu patha. So then we use dhatu ade shastaha. In the dhatu patha, if you have a dhatu which is murdan shakaradi, it's really a dancha sakaradi. But then why does Panini bother to put the murdan shakaradi? For this very same reason, is that when the nimittam comes, the shakara can come there, because in order to make the sakara as an adesha and therefore allow for adesha pratyayoho, Panini pushed these dhatu, he tags them. The dhatu partha is having the murdan shakara. One more time. So dhatu ade shastaha says that if you have a dhatu adi murdanya shakaraha, it will take the sakara adeshaha. This is a device that Panini uses in order to get a adesha sakara in place, so that 8359 adesha pratyayoho can be applied when the nimittam comes for that. So dhatu ade shastaha will come here. So by then 6164, and what happens is that because this in dhatu shtui, this takara only came because of shtuna shtuhu. Dhatu really stu. Of course, halantyam, this is an it, the near is halantyam, and in shtu this takara is only because of sandhi, because of shtuna shtuhu. So when the murdanya shakara goes to a sakaraha, this takara also will go to takaraha, and we'll get dhatu is only stu. So when you come to usage, the dhatu only stu, like stutihi, sutam, stauti, and all. So what happens is that because the nimittam for the takara is gone, the karyam also will go away. So nimittasya paye, nimittikasya payaha. So nimittasya paye. So when nimittam goes, so nimittasya paye, naimittikasyapi, naimittikasyapi apayaha, kasyapi apayaha. So when nimittam goes, then the karyam, which is naimittikam means whatever the nimittam caused. So nimittasyapaye naimittikasyapayaha. So this takara was only coming because of the shtuna shtuhu. Now when the murdanya shakara went to a danta sakara, there is no nimittam for shtuttam. So then the naimittikam, which was caused by the nimittam, that also goes away. It's two. Okay. Now agnishtut. Here we do have a adesha sakara. So then why cannot we not use adesha pratyayoho in this example? Okay, agnishomo I can understand, because soma we don't have the adesha sakara or the pratyavayavaha. But why in agnishtut, why can we not use? Why does Panini need to put stut in the sutram, which is the this agnehe, which is we just seeing over here, agnehe stut stoma somaha. Why does Panini require to put stut? Can we not just use adesha pratyayoha at least here? So we do have the adesha sakara, as we just talked about, and this is a tuk agama at the end, but it's a tuk agama, And then why can we not use? Reason for that is that Sat Padadyoho is a sutram, which is very, very important. Very, very important is that Padadi Sakaraha, a Padadi Sakaraha will not take into a, so 8382 Agnehi Sustoma Somaha. In fact, in the Agnishtut, so Sat Padadyoho iti nishedayam arambhaha. So Sat Padadyoho iti nishedhe ayam arambhaha. Nishedayam arambhaha. So when in a samasaha, the general rule, if we take, if you form the word, let's not talk upad samasa, let's take a different kind of samasa. If you take stauti tishtut, one who praises ishtut, and then agnehe shtut, if we take like that vigravakyam, then what will happen is that the shtut, 83111, yes, that's Kalpesh, 83111. 83111 will say that if you have a samasa, not a samasa, basically 83111 is saying that if the sakara, which is the adi of a padam, will not take the murdhanyadesha. One more time. Let me say ambu sinchati. Will not become ambu shinchati. So if you have a padadi sakaraha does not take murdhanyadesha. So the adesha pratyayoho has a very important nishedha. Sat padadyoho. If you have sat, by the way, Sat comes in Gita. Bhasma Sat comes in Gita chapter 4. It's a pratyaya Sat. So let's leave Sat for time. We put Padadyoho. If it's a sakara of the pratyaya Sat, which we don't need right now, or a Padadi sakaraha will not take the murdhanyadesha. So this will stop. This will stop Adesha Pratyayoho. That's why Panini has to put the Shtut back into this one. So Agnishtut. So this one says that the Tattvabodhini commentary says that Satpadadyoho, what does it say? Satpadadyoho iti nishedhe ayamarambha agnishtut iti. So this nishedha is being done because otherwise Satpadadyoho might come and spoil it. So one more time, we can use Adesha Pratyayoho that requires an Adesha or a Pratyavayavaha. In Agni plus Soma, there's no issue because there's Soma, the Sakara is not going to be an Adesha or Pratyavayavaha. So we cannot use 8359. Agnishtut will be a problem also because even though that Sakara is an Adesha, it was Dhatu was Shtui in Dhatu Patha, it became Stu. Still it will not work because Sat Padadyoho might come and stop it. So that is why. So this is a sutram, please keep in mind, is Sat Padadyoho. If you have, this is Nishedha. Nishedha of the Murdhanyadesha does not take place. Sat Padadyoho. Sat Padadyoho. Sat Padadyoho. This is important Nishedha. This is the important Nishedha for this one. Okay, let me just get the point. So always keep on, I went through all this thing to basically get you to the point where Sat Padadyoho is a very important Nishedha. Is an important Nishedha for the Murdhanyadesha. So Nishedha. So Nishedha for the Murdhanyadesha. Nishedha. Okay. Now the coming back to our example, Agni plus Soma became Agni Somaha because of the sutram which we saw, which is Idagnehe. So this is 6327, very straightforward. So Idagnehe Soma Varanayoho. So we instead of the Anangadesha ending Alontyasya, the Ikar of Agni becomes Agni. It's very straightforward. These sutram we should understand and make them your own. So this one is very, very straightforward. If you have Agni as a Purvapadam, Uttarapadam is Soma or Varuna, and these are all Devatas, then we can not somebody's name, by the way. It has to be a Devata. You have to be careful. Has to be Devata. If somebody called Agni and somebody called Soma, then it will not be Agni Shomau. Only when it is Devata. So then Agni Shomau. So this will become like that. So we'll then we can apply. Okay, let's go step by step. Will become Agni Somau, and then that is by 6327. Idagne Soma Varanayoho, and then finally become become Agni Shomau. Agni Shomau, and that is the 8382. 8382. Okay, so that was we had in the book. The book was saying that this one, these two, is that Agni Shomau. Of course, Agni Varuna even more straightforward. There's no Shattam here at all. Agni Varuna is the same thing. Agni. But Agni Vayu. We already talked about it. Yes.
Sadashi, then that Sat Padatyo, I had a basic question.
Yes.
It was already under the Adhikara of Apadantasya from 8355.
Yes, Apadantasya. Yes, correct.
So the question being that if it is already in Apadantasya, what brings in again for these Pada?
Okay. Now then you ask, it is a very good question actually. What Kalpesh is saying is that this Adhikara says that it is the Apadantasya Murdhanyaha. Sakar should not be Padantaha. Now Kalpesh, the question is that does Apadantasya, is it the same thing as saying that a Pada doesn't follow Apadantasya? My question is that if you have Apadanta Sakaraha, so let's look at example Rameshu Kalpesh, Rameshu, okay? Rameshu. Now here the Rama has a Padasanya, right? Padasanya. But the Sup, so Rama is Padasanya. But the Sup doesn't. So here the example where the Sup is not a Padadi Sakara. Only Padadi Sakara only is stopped. Only Padadi Sakara is only stopped. See, Apadantasya is only saying that, the should not be Padanta Sakara. So even if it's Apadantasya, doesn't necessarily mean that a Pada is not falling. Do you follow what I'm saying, Kalpesh? Because when we use this Sutram, let's say when we use this Sutram 1417, right? Which is Swadishva Sarvanamasthani. When we use that, if you can have a situation, right, where the prior one has a Padasanya, but the following one doesn't have Padasanya. You follow, Kalpesh? You can have a situation.
I follow that. Yes, I follow.
Where you have a Padanta Sakara. So now there, Sapadadya may not be able to stop you. Sapadadya may not work. Because the following is a Pratyaya, not a Pada. So you cannot use Sapadadya. But that's why you need the Padantasya Murdhanyaha. Padantasya Murdhanyaha you need. And this is, by the way, talking about the Sakaish Adeshaha for the Padadi Sakara. See, this Sat Padadyo is talking about the only, because here, let's say take our example right now, when you Agni Shtutta, whatever, Agni Shomau, that the Sakara of Stutta, Sakara of Soma Kalpesh is not a Padanta Sakara. Upadantasya Murdhanya will not help you, will it? Because this is saying the Padadi Sakara does not take the Murdhanya Adesha. So 83111 saying the Padadi Sakara. So if you didn't have this Sutram, you have
actually that is what my that was my question, is basically if Padanta Sakara, okay, basically what I was thinking probably, and maybe that is incorrect, is that that when I say Apadantasya, that means that it should be, it's not like Samanapade, right?
No.
Like we have in Natva.
No, so here we say the Sakara should not be Padantaha, should not be Padadi either. Apadantasya Murdhanya, right? Apadantasya Murdhanya. Right?
So Padanta Sakara means that Sakara only is Padanta, is what you're talking about.
Take a word like Agnis, right?
Oh, okay. I think
that
that
now the Sakara is we have the Pratyaya was Su, Pratyaya we have in Agnis Pratama Ekavachanam. So we have in Koho, everything is satisfied. But it's a Padanta Sakara. Cannot do it. But this was talking about the Padadi Sakara, Sat Padadyoho. So the Padadi Sakara will not take Sattvam. Padanta Sakara also will not take Sattvam there, because Apadantasya Murdhanyaha. And also, as I said, you can have...
Yes, that explains it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we got the example Agni Shoma, but Agni Vayu, because you already talked about that. Agni Vayu, because of the thing that this one is Vayu Shabda Prayoge Pratishedha. So there, when you have Vayu, Pratishedha has become Agni Vayu. In fact, Bhattoji gives that. Agni Vayu. So already Pratishedha is being given. If Vayu Shabda is used, then we cannot have this thing. Pratishedha Vaktavyaha. So here only, but I'm sorry, but anyway, this Sutram, Idagnehe only talking about Soma and Varuna only. So in the book, this example which is given in the book about the Agni Vayu, this doesn't come under this. Agni Soma Agni Varuna only is talking about. So Idagnehe Soma Varuna Yoho. So only Agni Shoma and Agni Varuna come under Sutra. This Agni Vayu will not take Id anyway. The Sutra only talks about Soma and Varuna. Only Idagnehe Soma Varuna Yoho. So the way the book has given is a little bit deceptive, because this sutram, which is 6027, only talking about Soma Varuna Yoho. Soma Varuna Yoho. So this was not an issue anywhere. So this Agni Vayu, what is talking about is that here the Anang would have come. See, Agni takes the Idadesha only when Soma Varuna follows. But in Agni Vayu, the Anang Adesha should have come by Devata Dvandvecha. But that is stopped by the Vartikam. So this is not the Idadesha being stopped. In Agni Vayu, it is not the Idadesha being stopped, it is the Anangadesha being stopped. The Anangadesha being stopped over here, not the Idadesha. Idadesha na praptaha. You only Soma and Varuna get the Idadesha, or Agni gets Idadesha. So here the Anang is being stopped by this Vartikam, which says that the Vayu Shabda Prayoge Pratishedha. So Pratishedha. Yes, was you saying something?
Yeah, incidentally, whatever was decided on this Nisudanaha and Nishudanaha.
Yeah, it's still ongoing. Ongoing.
Okay, it's the same issue.
We'll give you. Yeah, it's a similar thing. Yes, it's a similar thing. So it's an ongoing thing. We have a whole thing going about this, the Madhusudanaha and the Keshi Nishudanaha. This topic of Shaptam can get very complicated. Okay, there's some complicated questions, but anyway, that's not today's topic. So Vasu is asking about that one. Now the next three are just basically, this one is from the same sutram. This Stri cha Pumascha Stri Pumsau, Ruk cha Sama cha Ruk Same, and Vak cha Manas cha Vang Manase are basically the same sutram 5477, which you already saw. In that 5477, what is happening is that those 11 Dvandva Samasaha, the first three are Itaritara Yogaha. So these three, Stri Pumsa, Dhenvanaduha, and the Ruksama, Vang Manasa. So then Vang Manasa. Then from then on, he starts with the Akshibhru, and also these are going to be Samahara. So in this section on 5477, we saw the 11 of these compounds, but among those 11, the first which he talks about, he talks Stri Pumsau, Dhenvanaduhau, Ruksame, and Vang Manase. These are in the Itaritara Yogaha. And then next he talks about which is Akshini, Chabruo, Chakshibruvam, and all these are the Samahare. So here we have the Stri Pumsau, Dhenvanaduhau, Ruksame, Vang Manase. These are going to be in Itaretara Yogaha. So be very simple. Stri cha, Pumascha. What happens is that you get the ready-made form Stri Pumsa. So basically, these are going to be ending in the Ach Pratyaha. So this Pumsa will become Pumsa. So Stri Pumsau means woman and man. Has to be Dvandva, okay? Has to be Dvandva. And same thing with the Ruksame. Let me do this and we'll stop. The time is running out. So 5477 also gives these 4 Samasa Itaritara Yogaha. That's why in the Antoine book, these are given in the next page and not in the prior page. In the prior page in the book, we are talking about the Samahara Dvandvas. So that's why we didn't take these up at that time, because in the prior page, we are talking about this Naktam Chadiva. These are also from 5477, but these were, we are talking in the Samahara. That's why I didn't take them over here. Same thing over here, this one also. But now he's taking the same Sutram 5477, but taking the first 4 compounds, out of which 3 of which he's giving in the book over here. These 3 are also in 5477, but they are not Samahare. They are going to be Itaritara Yogaha. Stri cha Pumascha Stri Pumsau, Rukcha Samacha Ruksame, and then Vakcha Manascha Vang Manase. Now what's happening is that, by the way, if any of you chant the Shiva Mahimna Stotram, Anuj has a question. Yes, sir.
Satyajji, this Vang Manase was mentioned in 2314. So
14. Okay, let's come to that. Good question. Let's see 2, 3, 14. 2, 3, 14.
2, 4. I mean, sorry, 2, 4, 14.
2, 4, 14. Okay, let's see 2, 4,
Yeah.
14. Nadadipayadini. Very good. Nadadipayadini.
Yeah.
So now what is Vang and Manas, right? Pranyangani, right? So when Vang and Manas is mind and speech, I think they are parts of the body. So therefore, by this sutram over here, which is Dvandvascha Paniturya Senanganam, should taken only Samahara should have come. Samahara. But because Paniniya says Na Dadipayadini, so 2, 4, 14, thank you. So Anuji is making the point, it's a good point, is that why not have a Samahara over here? So why not have a Samahara? So 2, 4, 14.
No, actually, in Kaumudi Satiji, it was there. That was added there.
Vang Manase, right?
Yeah, it was added there.
Yeah. So this one is the Vang Manase. If you look at Kaumudi for the Sutram 2, 4, 14. So 2, 4, 14 will come a little bit early on the same page. 2, 4, 14 will come here. 2, 4, 14. Nadadipayadini. So Vang Ruksame Vang Manase. Yes. So now this thing is that Anuji, what's happening is here is that this is Nadadipayadini. Etani Naikavatsyihu. So these cannot form the Samahara. Now why would Samahara would have been required for these Samahara? Rik and Sama. I think Rik Sama is a generic term. Because Jatira Praninam, it had a generic term, is a Rik and a Sama mantra. So this is a class of mantras. It's a class of mantras, Rik and Sama. So by Jatira Praninam, basically what's happening here is that this should have formed the Samahara by some sutram. Instead of that, Pani is saying that in these cases, don't form the Samahara. Form only Sitra Yoga. So this is this Nisheda Sutram.
It's Nisheda Sutram.
But what we have to ask ourselves is that what Sutram was this going to form a Samahara in the first place? Correct? That's what we have to ask. We have to ask ourselves is that some sutram was asking us to form a Samahara. That's being stopped by Nadadipayadi. It is stopping that. I think Riksame, we can use this sutram Jatira Praninam because it's not going to be any of the others because this is a class. Rig Veda, there are many Rig mantras. There are many of them. So when you talk about a class, it should take only Samahara. But because of Nadadipayadi, Nishedha, we can form, it has to only form a Dvandva only. Same thing, Vang Manase. Vang Manase is the organ of speech and the mind. So I think here we should probably invoke this one, which is the Praniyanganam. So that would have forced a Samahara. So good point. So what I'm saying, we'll continue. The time is out. We'll continue next time. But basically, these two should have formed Samahara. I think this one by Jatira Praninam and this one by the Pranyanganam. But then by putting Nishedha and putting them in the Gana here, Sadipayadini, they don't form Samahara. They only form Dvandva. And then what's happening is this is Saman. Padma becomes Saman. So you're going to get the Ach Pratyaya, Padma becomes Manas. Manas becomes Manasa. So these are both declined like Vanam, Vane, Vanani. They became an Akaranta Pradipadikam. By getting Pratyaya Ach, we'll stop with this, put in the document here. So in this sutram, the Sri Pumsav, the ending in an Ach. So just put 3, but thank you, Anuji. So Sri Pumsav, good to have it back. So Sri Pumsav, Sri Pumsa Pradipadikam. So this was the Pratyaya Ach Pratyaya at the end. So 5477 was used to add the Ach. So Pums became Pumsa. So Ach Pratyaha. Same thing, so became an Akaranta Pradipadikam. Akaranta became like Rama Shabda. Sri Pumsa. Sri Pumsa Pradipadikam. Okay? We'll be a bit careful because even if we didn't have Ach, it should become Sri Pumsa only. So Sri Pums become Pumamsa, it will become. Pumamsa, not Pumsa. So anyway, this is now going to become into a Akaranta Pradipadikam, Sri Pumsa. Now same thing in the other two examples, which is Riksame and so Saman Pradipadikam. So here what we need to do is that riksame. So rikcha samacha riksame. We need 5477. We also need to remove the nakaraha at the end by nasta. We'll do it next time in detail. So this one we need this. We also need after that the nastadhite, angam gashta bhasanya, and the saman. The saman we need to remove that ti bhagaha, nastadhite. So for homework you can try to do this one, nastadhite. So try to take rik plus saman and add pratyach, and using 64144 ti lopaha. Of course wang manase is straightforward, just wang plus manas. Manas becomes manasa. Also becomes akar on the padi, but becomes wang manase, wang manase, wang manase. Next time, and this one comes in the Shiva Mahimna Stotram. In the Shiva Mahimna Stotram comes in Shiva Mahimna Stotram. This is, I think, in the very first wang manasa yoho. In the very first shloka, of the Shiva Mahimna Stotram. Because you're wondering how it became wang manasa yoho. Very first shloka of the Shiva Mahimna Stotram. Shiva Mahimna Stotram. Mahimna Parate. Shiva Mahimna Stotram. Mahimna Stotram. Shiva Mahimna Stotram. Very first shloka. We'll continue next time. Let's stop with this. Very first shloka. Very first shloka of Shiva Mahimna Stotram. This lesson is pretty much done. I'm sorry we took a long time, but I wanted to connect back to Kaumudi. So from now on, we'll follow the Kaumudi. Sorry for taking some time. So next time, please do the homework. Because only thing remaining now is only one sutram, which is 6330. Look at 6330 and do the homework. So let's stop now. So Ramo Rajamanis Tada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Vaje Ramena Vihata Nishachara Chamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Rama Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittale Sada Bhautame Bhorama Mamudhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane Shri Rama Nama Varanana Om Namaste.